Glad you could join us today on EdFile. Welcome to the program. I'm Ayola Kasim. A vision for cities has never been more important than it is today. More than half of the world's inhabitants live in cities, and this migration trend is expected to continue. Settlement for the growing population is one of the major challenges the world faces today, and Nigeria is not different. It was reported recently that there is a massive shortage of housing in Nigeria. The deficit is estimated to be about 17 million units. In many cases, the shortage in the housing sector finds expression in a very high house occupancy ratio. So what is the way out? We'll look at some of the suggestions. To stay with us. Nigeria is one of the rapidly growing countries in the world. The problems and challenges posed by this rapid urban growth in Nigeria are immense. More easily observable and perhaps very frightening are the general human and environmental poverty, the declining quality of life, and the underutilized as well as the untapped wealth of human resources. Many Nigerians believe the government's efforts at providing appropriate shelter for all is most important.
When you come into housing, all you need in housing is a man who understands the dynamics of housing delivery. Number one, you give what you call systems and structures to the industry. Number two, you come and in the past administration, we had the NMRC, Nigeria Mortgage Refinance Company. Mortgage is one of the most important things. Through the NMRC, they started the process of sanitizing, and having common underwriting standards for the housing subsector. This was absolutely necessary. Now, a minister that comes to sit over that ministry, number one, will give direction to the artisans. Very important. He will be able to coordinate them into a way they are registered, not just registered, in a way that they can undergo trainings because they have been registered. And in that process, you spend nothing, you can even make something out of it. Apart from that, he will now come to look at the informal sector where a lot of Nigerians belong. Because when you talk of the civil service and all these things, you have less than 15%, 20%. But the other 80% of Nigerians are not, they are building houses, they are buying luxury cars, they are going to clubs and spending a lot of money. So it's just a matter of you as a minister giving structure to that sector. And then you have such an amazing, volume of people. Based on that structure, you can now work out on the basis of pensions, work out a delivery mechanism. When people tell you that, the housing is a private sector business, it is a private sector business running on government, enablement.
Housing and associated facilities such as water, electricity, waste disposal, are grossly inadequate. Millions live in substandard environments called slums, plagued by squalor and grossly inadequate social amenities such as a shortage of schools, poor health facilities, and lack of opportunities for recreation, among others. Juvenile delinquencies and crime have become endemic in urban areas as a result of the gradual decline of traditional social values and the breakdown of family cohesiveness and community spirit. Moreover, the capacity of law enforcement institutions to prevent crime is increasingly hampered by technological and resource limitations.
The economy of Nigeria today, more than any other thing, needs the bottom to be vibrant. Nothing gives you a more vibrant bottom. When you say bottom, we're talking of the lower segment, the D segment of the economy. Nothing gives you a wider spread than housing. When you construct roads, the bitumen, the caterpillars, the engineers, they are on top. In a road construction, less than 15% of the budget goes to the D segment of the population, the poor, okay? But in housing construction, it's the reverse. 80% goes to the poor, okay? Because the poor starts by clearing the land. He's the one to mold the blocks. He's the one to do the mason. He's the one to do the carpentry, the electrician, the plumber, the iron mongers. All these people, even the carriers, even the bankers, even the suppliers of the wood, suppliers of the cement, all these people are all the people that are at the bottom segment of the population. So if I invested 2 billion to build an estate, Out of the 2 billion, a minimum of 1.8 billion is going into the hands of the little people. Imagine what effect that has on the economy. So the wisest way for Mr. President to touch the lives of this generality of people that voted for him is to go into agriculture and housing. And I will even put housing before agriculture.
In the 1980s, the government planned about 280,000 housing units, and the Ministry of Housing, Urban Development and Environment was created. However, not even 1/4 of the ministry's objectives were achieved. In 2013, the federal government approved the sum of 1 billion for the upgrading of slums in 5 states across the country. The fund, which is expected to be administered by the Minister of Lands, Housing and Urban Development, is to be used to upgrade slums in Kano, Lagos, Rivers, Abia and Kogi, but state of the slum areas today remain the same. Over the years, poor planning, failed policies and lack of credible data have led to indiscriminate growth of slums in different parts of the country with their consequences.
I think Brazil is for Nigeria a very interesting country to look at, because Brazil also has to deal with what we call favelas or slums, but Brazil has found, in my opinion, a positive way of dealing with it. There is an institutionalized slum upgrading program. There is public money to upgrade these slums. So I think the most important step Brazil has taken decades ago already is to say, okay, we have these favelas and we have to deal with them. We have to improve the conditions of these people and not to evict them, but that they should stay in their neighborhoods if they want, and we bring the infrastructure they're lacking. And I think that's interesting for Nigeria to look at, because Brazil was also in a stage as Nigeria right now. It's a hungry country. They want to develop. They want to have progress. But I think you cannot have progress if you do not take everybody along. It's not about having you will always have, let's say, rich and poor, and less poor and less rich or middle class, whatever. This is normal, but you should also make sure that everybody sort of can cope and take them along. And I think then you will have real develop, because people can participate, they can engage, they can develop entrepreneurial activities, then they pay taxes. With taxes, government can again improve infrastructure. And I think this is how you move a country or a region or a city as a whole forward.
In Lagos, it is said that a minimum of 2 out of 3 people live in some form of slum accommodation with little access to clean water, electricity, waste disposal and other essential services, placing the region as having one of the largest concentrations of urban poverty on the planet. Within the state itself, the number of slum communities outnumbers those of the well-managed regions. Flooding is common and day-to-day life is tough, but widely viewed as significantly better than the extreme poverty that exists in rural Nigeria, hence the wide scale of rural-urban migration that is occurring on a daily basis. Plans undertaken by the Nigerian government have clearly failed to confront the severity of what is already a crisis, especially with regards to the disproportionate pace of the massive population rises to housing availability.